How do I find a new job? How can I make a career change? And the biggest question of all, can I really find a career that I love? Hey, my name is Jen Smith, and I believe career success doesn't have to be at the expense of living a radiantly happy and healthy lifestyle. As a former HR leader and recruiter turned career coach, I get what companies are looking for when hiring top talent. What that means for you is an unmatched combination of insider knowledge and the best kept secrets about making heart-based career changes and navigating the ups and downs of job searching in today's world of work. Whether you're a recent graduate navigating the job market for the first time or a seasoned professional ready for a career change, this show is for you. So grab your coffee or your kombucha, pull up a seat, and get ready to be challenged and inspired to move beyond your self-doubt and take the right next steps towards landing a career you love. Because you deserve a long, radiantly happy and healthy career. This is the Flourish Careers Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Flourish Careers Podcast. I'm Jen Smith, your host, and today I'm thrilled to be here for another installment of Flourishing Together. These are special segments dedicated to curated conversations with industry insiders sharing wisdom and strategies for improving your work and well-being. Today, I am so delighted to have Heather Eck back with us to talk about color and energy in our careers, which is a topic I am fascinated by. Heather is an abstract intuitive artist and spiritual guide who brings a unique fusion of color and consciousness to her work. With a background deeply rooted in the study of energy, chakras, and color meaning, Heather's art serves as a portal to spiritual healing and self-discovery. Her journey from corporate HR to a full-time artist was fueled by a passion for exploring art and spirituality. She enjoys crafting personalized paintings for your soul's color, and these are called spirit portraits, and they offer messages of love, healing, and peace. And I am a huge fan of spirit portraits. The first time Heather was on the pod, we talked all about the spirit portrait process, so I'll make sure that we link that as well. And I tell everybody to book a spirit portrait because it is just so much fun. So Heather, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me back. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yay. Heather and I have uncovered so many fun connections since we first met, and we continue literally to this day to uncover connections. So this has been such a fun collaboration. So let's start at the beginning. So can you share with our listeners, like the moment that you first realized the idea that color carries energetic weight and like associating it with intuition, emotion, and purpose and all of these things?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny because as a little kid, I was very interested. I had this like weird curiosity around color. And so it showed up for me very young. Not that I connected it to energy or meaning yet, but just that I paid a lot of attention to it. And I wanted to change my room colors a lot. I was very curious about color in film and on TV. I would lay on my floor and draw what music looked like and color it with what it looked like. And so those things were very present to me as a young kid. And I would say probably like in college when I started to get into yoga and started to dig into chakras was when I sort of discovered that they had meaning. That it really wasn't until I was in my late 30s working in corporate HR. I started painting again. I started seeing auras start to billow out around people's heads when they would come into my office to talk about, you know, a variety of HR issues that I thought, oh my gosh, there's something here. These colors all mean something. That color around you means something. Like, what is it all about? And that's when I started to do some more digging around it.
Oh my gosh. I am so fascinated. And I can only imagine the colors with all the HR issues coming into your office. It's probably quite the rainbow, I can imagine, of all the things.
It's funny. Yeah. A lot of the people that came in had the same color. And I think it's because we were all sitting in this energetic space together. And so we were all sort of like, but there were some people who'd come in and I'd be like, oh, I got to get them out of here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's something going on, right? Oh my gosh. It's so interesting. Wow. So, okay. So you're connecting the dots back to when you were young and changing the colors of your room and then learning a little bit more later in life and yoga and the chakras and associating those colors. And then when you were in your late 30s, you started seeing the color in folks. And so that's really interesting. So just out of curiosity, what is the next step you took to so you're recognizing that this is something and probably not hearing too many people talk about this. So what did you do next?
Yeah, that's a great question. I didn't really even tell anybody about it. It sort of became this thing that I would notice. And I was kind of already the spiritual, weirdo in the office, as the HR person. I had crystals all over my desk and I was, I think I would smudge my office if somebody left. I was really sort of energetically centered around this idea that we were much more than the human people that were doing this job. Right. Yeah. And I started to just really study the chakras, and I studied color, meaning, and energy. And I was painting a lot. And I was painting in the mornings before work just to kind of let some steam out a little bit, because I was still very much focused on my day job, but I also felt this pull towards the art. And I slowly started to tell people about what I was seeing or what I was noticing. So there was somebody in my office who at the time I had noticed was wearing yellow at least once or twice a week. And so she and I were already sort of friendly with each other, but I just kind of said hey, how are you? And I said, I hope this is okay for me to say, but I've noticed that you've been wearing a lot of yellow lately. Do you know what that means? And she was like, no. And I said, well, it means that you're going through some sort of identity change. You're seeing yourself differently, and you're trying to understand what it is and how you show up for yourself and others. And she instantly started crying, was like, how did you know that? And so that was sort of the gateway conversation that we worked in a long HR hallway. Yeah. But then people would kind of come in and close the door and say, what does my shirt say? What color does this mean? Or they'd say I had a dream last night. I need your help interpreting it. And so it was like I had hung my little sign outside the door that said it was okay to come in and talk to me about the stuff that's a little, the spiritual stuff, the woo. And they found me.
I love this story so much. And so there's a couple things that just really struck with me. First, that you had the courage to have one conversation, because that's usually how this stuff comes to us, right? We have one conversation and then you get that feedback and that confidence to have another conversation. And then clearly word spread here and folks were interested in it. And that gives you more, encouragement to continue learning and sharing and talking about it. And especially in a space where maybe it's not the topic of watercolor talk, water cooler talk or the cafeteria conversation, right? So so that's fantastic. And also the idea of associating yellow with some type of identity or change or something like that. And so just having that insight and being able to share it with somebody is such a gift, I think.
Yeah.
So
it really is.
Wow,
yeah. I'm always paying attention to what people are wearing, because I know they're communicating something through it. And a lot of times if we wear something, we're wearing it for us as much as we are the other person.
Wow.
And so there's a lot to be known about that.
Yes. We need to know more. Okay. So tell us then, let's take that a step further. How can we intentionally use color to influence our professional lives then? So I don't know, you were just talking about what to wear. I think about designing a workspace or making decisions. How do we do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's so many different aspects of color and color psychology, and the way that color supports us emotionally, the way that color communicates for us spiritually. And so when you are thinking about, I always say when you go into your closet in the morning, look at what color you're drawn to. Not even really what do you want to wear. I have my closet organized by color.
By color. That does not surprise me. That's fabulous.
And you can tell by the blocks of color what I have more of. I have more blue. I have more green. I have a lot of pink. I have very little red. I have very little orange. I have a little bit of yellow. And so those colors that I am naturally drawn to, those are colors that I use. And I'm going to use the word that minister to me, because they are actually, I'm using those colors to help me heal in some way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when you're looking at your home or your office, you can sort of use the color intentionally to offer you the energy or the healing or the emotional support that color offers. So for example, if you work in a really high-paced, high-pressure environment, you want to avoid colors like red and orange in there, because those colors will inflame and activate the energy and make it even more so. You want to go into that space with calming blues, soft greens, lavenders, or white even, because that's going to bring the energy
Right. I can
way
feel that.
down and slow
Yeah.
it way
Yeah.
down. Yeah. So you can do that in your home, in your office. If there's an energy you want to try to convey, you can work with that color to help bring that energy in and to heal that space and to tone that space down a little bit too.
Wow. Yeah, that's fascinating. Because just as you were talking, like the red, the orange, the yellows, like that gives me like a high energy vibe,
Yeah.
right? And then, yeah, exactly. And I think of like, I remember seeing this open office space that had a lot of as like red chairs and there was like yellow things on the walls. And it was this very energetic space. And then when you were saying like the lavenders and like the blues, like I just felt that like it just calms right down like
It
that.
does.
It's really fascinating.
You must be really sensitive because if you could feel that, it really does. Like, it'd be interesting to see like when you go into a space, how that makes you feel because it probably instantly makes your body respond in some way.
It does. And it's so interesting too, because like relating this to work, and I talk to a lot of folks that their workspace makes a difference for them. And this was something, that I struggled with in the corporate world was the environment was so stifling. Like I remember this one office space, I called it the mole hole. So it's like this dark hallway into, and it had like a door that closed because HR, you're like locked into the space. And like the door closed and it was like this like really dark, like brownish walls. And then like you go into the offices and they were just like really dark and it was horrible. And like here, I'm like, I just need to see what's happening outside. Like, is it raining? The colors it was so stifling. And then I've worked with someone, she's so funny. She's this wildly creative soul. And she thought she needed to have a corporate job. And they forced her into the office every day. And she called it the taupe dungeon. She's like, I have to go to the taupe dungeon today. It's like, it makes a difference, about your energy at work. And like, and even the vibe of like, if you're interviewing and you're in an office and it's the open office space with like the reds and the yellows, like, what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah,
right?
You really do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really
so
interesting.
True. Right. When you walk into a lobby of a new office or something, you kind of get a feel for, is it stark? Is it warm and welcoming?
Right.
Is there a lot of, black or dark browns that are going to make you feel maybe a little bit depleted? Yeah. Or does it have colors that are going to make you feel invigorated and excited? And so that's actually, there was just a New York Times article about this where the writer wrote about workplaces actually intentionally infusing spaces with color to help support.
Oh, that's amazing.
People. And I was like, yes.
Finally, yes. Yeah. And, I've heard that with like artwork. So, and I'm sure you have to like bringing artwork into a space just to like, for the energy and everything else. But I never really thought about it in the sense of like wall colors, you know what I mean? Even though I felt it, like I clearly felt it in that space that was just like so stifling. And this community member just like felt that same way. So yes, I think it's important to think about like if someone's out there and they get to design an office space, like think about that and think about what you're inviting in and the type of people that you're wanting to work with on your team too. So really interesting. Okay, cool. What about clothing and colors? Like, I don't know, interviewing comes to mind, right? So like helping folks like, and one of my most frequently asked questions is, what do I wear to an interview? But how do you think about color for an interview? Like, what would you recommend for something like that?
That's a really great question. I think you have to first, choose something that's going to make you feel comfortable and confident.
Yep.
That's always the key for me. I feel like I can relate to your friend who's like the very colorful spiritual soul who tried to fit themselves into the corporate taupe dungeon, right? Like I always felt so constricted by the suit. Had to wear a suit for a long time. And when I moved out of corporate banking into advertising, I was able to wear whatever I wanted. I was like, I'm free.
Look at that.
Great.
Yeah.
It really depends on what you're trying to convey. But I would generally say if you're going into an interview, if you can wear anything that's sort of like a light, soft blue, navies, and whites are always really good for conveying a sense of honesty, authenticity, and trustworthiness. And so you want to be that, you want to, present yourself that way in an interview. So somebody hears you and believes you and is like, I can trust this person. This is great. Black is always a very sophisticated, professional look if you've got a black suit, but too much black can also make you feel a little off-putting, and it can make people feel like you're in a bit of a protective state. If you've got a big presentation or something that you're giving, you can work with the energy of red that helps you stand in your power. It helps you feel strong and confident. And so colors like that are going to help you sort of convey the air of professional, polished, trustworthy, and sophisticated.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. It's so funny. As you were saying, like the blue and the white. So it's so funny. It's last week? I can't, my days are getting away from me, but I did a workshop with a corporate team on talking about energy and strengths at work. And I wore a like denim blue blazer and a white shirt. And I'm like, oh, saw authenticity and trust. I'm like, oh, perfect.
You already did it.
And I was doing it. Yeah. That's so fabulous.
I love that.
Yeah, no, I think this is really helpful. And you're right too. Like the comfort first, like comfort comes first, and then consider what you want to convey and potentially relate that to the colors that you wear in an interview or, if you have a presentation or whatever that might be. So
yeah,
this is interesting. I don't know if you've ever done this. I did that thing where you get your colors done. Like, yeah. So I just did that. Like that was really fun too. So do you ever like incorporate that into this?
So it's so funny that you asked that. I just had that done a couple months ago. I found out I'm a light summer.
Oh, I'm soft summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny too, because I looked, so you get your results from that. And then I kind of looked at my closet and I was like, oh, what colors am I wearing? I actually think that I'm wearing a green top. Your listeners can't see it, but I don't think this is my green.
Okay.
I think my green is a little bit different, but that's okay. But I have a lot of different shades of green in my closet.
Yeah.
So I think that in a lot of ways, we are drawn to the colors that we're looking for that are offering us healing, and we will repel the colors that we are not quite ready to deal with yet, whatever that color represents. So it'd be interesting to like look at your color palette and see which colors of the colors that you are like seasonally approved of, right?
Yeah.
Are there any in there that you feel strongly drawn to that you're like, denim blue is a great example. That's a denim blue is on my seasonal chart. And I do have a lot of that color.
Yeah.
And I'm attracted to that color.
Right.
That is all about your throat chakra.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But then there's like this gray kind of, or not, it's kind of like a taupe sandy color that's on there that supposedly looks the best with my skin tone, but I really don't like it. I'm like, oh, I don't want that color I'm not going to wear that color.
Right.
So that's a color of the root chakra. That's about grounding, finding stability. And so I would say my root is often inflamed. And so I'm looking at that color going, I don't want to deal with that right now.
Well, that's the feeling, right? The energetics that's coming of it. But I can't help but mention like the collaboration is amazing between the, getting your colors done and the work that you do, and connecting that somehow would be so cool for somebody.
Yeah.
And you think too, like, and I just like to bring in like the career change element, like if someone's going through any type of transformation, usually they're doing that reflective work and just like that kind of uncovering things about themselves. And that would be such a cool component of that. Like, hey, these are your colors. This is the energy around these colors. Like even having a conversation around like, which ones are you drawn to? Which ones aren't you? And what that means. Oh my God. That is so fun. And
that'd
so
be
cool.
really fun.
Yeah, I love that.
Sure.
Yeah. And I love that we both recently got it done too, right? So did you do the one where you like have to hold up all the colors? Is that how they do it? To like and take pictures with no makeup on and then send them 100 pictures, like not 100, but like 20 pictures, right? And then it's so cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
She held up all the drapes, and then she would even put like the gold or silver next to us too to see which one looked best. It was really cool. I loved it.
It is really cool. And were you surprised at what came back for you?
Yes.
Right.
Because I thought I was going to be, I think winter had these really rich, like the royal blues and these deep amethysts and all these really lovely, like rich colors. And mine was very much like a day at the beach.
Yes, right. I was very surprised at mine too, because when I was holding up like these lighter shades, so mine is soft summer, I was like these lighter shades and I was like, oh, I look so washed out. Like this isn't, but it was like, then when I like saw the contrast of them, I was like, oh, those do look good. Like, how weird is that? You know?
I know.
And so then it like makes you just kind of think through it again. But I love what you're adding here too, is like, if you're don't force it. Like if you're not drawn to something, like that's okay. And just like pick another one. Right.
So. Yeah, exactly. Like you can wear the wrong shade of green. It's fine.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Of course. Yeah. So, okay. So now I want to ask you this. So like taking this a step further. So I find myself refreshing my closet and my home every season. And I'm a huge fan of the change of seasons. I live in Western New York. We have a very drastic change of 4 seasons and I love it. And I find myself changing colors, obviously textures, for myself and my home. So do you know, like, is there an energetic reasoning behind that? Or is it like an instinctual shift or something?
I think that's actually a really positive thing that you do, because it feels to me like you're very in sync with the seasons and how the nature affects your energy and how you're sort of aligned with that shift. Yes. I think a lot of people will try to resist that. I think myself included, like we just have our standard blue pillows on the couch and we don't really ever change that. One reason is that my son loves the soft, like velveteen covers and he hates when I change them. So but cute. Also, I think it's really important to sort of allow yourself to be in sync with the changing seasons, eating different vegetables that are in season,
right.
Like trying to find alignment and collaboration with nature versus resisting it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really positive thing. I also think nature is so wise, right? And so the seasons, nobody has to go outside and tell the tree that it's time for their leaves to fall and to bloom again. They just know. And I think if we were more in tune with ourselves and what we needed from a physical perspective, emotional perspective, seasonal, like spiritual perspective, I think we'd all feel a lot better. And I think it's great that you do that.
Yeah. Yay, thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I love the change of seasons. I love nature. I think you're right. Like the trees just know when to, their leaves fall off and when it's time to go to sleep for the winter and when it's time to wake back up. Like it's so smart. And I feel like we've gotten so far away from those natural rhythms of the world. And maybe it's time to swing back. The pendulum has swung a little bit too far and we kind of got to bring ourselves back. But it is so grounding and refreshing to like remind yourself of that. So
absolutely.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, your spirit portrait process, everyone knows that I love this and it's fascinating. And it kind of ties to what you were saying earlier with folks coming into your office with like a color around them or whatever. But so have you seen any themes around folks that are navigating career transitions?
That's a really great question. I definitely see, for somebody who I'm working with, I'll see sort of a snapshot of their state of well-being or their sort of emotional state. We're like the sort of a glimpse of where they are at the moment. And so if somebody is navigating a career change or something, I'll often see yellow or blue around them. The yellow is really signifying that they are working through some sort of identity change.
Okay.
They're starting to see themselves differently, or they're looking to see themselves differently. And they're sitting in this space of trying to understand who they are and how they want to show up and what it is that they want to convey to people. I'll see blue show up for people a lot who are actively working on trying to communicate something new or different about themselves, and they're struggling with that, or they haven't really been able to convey the story in a way that makes sense to them or in a way that will enable them to speak with authenticity about whatever it is. So those two colors sort of go hand in hand with I am actively working on changing who I am, and I am actively working on trying to communicate that change too.
Take that a step further and let's go back to what you wear. So if someone is navigating a change and maybe they're either trying to figure out what's next or they know what's next, but they're having trouble like getting through that, do you recommend like wearing those colors, like the yellows and blues too? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, those are great prescriptive colors. Yeah. So if you're seeing, so that's a really great question. So the color that you can use that color to help support that adjustment, to support that change. And so if you are needing more support in your throat, there aren't many blue foods, but there are some, like blueberries, Things like that are going to help support that throat and that third eye. That third eye is going to open up to allow you to receive your intuition so that you can get the information you need to know how to proceed. And then with yellow, I mean, you could eat yellow foods like squash, bananas. Those are going to support your solar plexus so that you can digest your new identity, right? Like, so you can like move into a place where you can receive whatever that is. You can wear it. And if you're like, oh, I hate yellow, you could just put like a little, for a little while, maybe you change the background of your cell phone to a sunflower or something that like, when you look at it, it offers you the energy of that color too.
I love this idea of like, if you're going through a transition, get a yellow notebook, get a blue notebook, to do your journaling and your writing in, or those color pens or something, and change the color of your phone, or put a sticker, around you or whatever it is, or get a water bottle that's that color, whatever it might be that can help support you through a transition like that.
Absolutely. What a genius idea. I love knowing that you do that. And it's inspiring me to want to do the same, because I'm like, I got to get more in sync with the seasons here. There's so much wisdom in the seasons.
There definitely is. I totally love it so much. And it just like makes things more fun because you're switching it up, like your brain, right? You get kind of bored, you get stuck and stagnant. And then when you switch up your accessories and the things around you and the colors, like it just brings new energy, right? New fun, like different stuff. Yeah, it sparks something. So yeah.
I love that.
Me too. So much fun. Okay. So now let's talk about if someone's listening and they're not really sure like where to begin, like they're interested in color, they want to kind of learn more. So what would you invite them to explore? Like what should they do first?
I'm laughing a little bit because I think I posted it on my Instagram stories a little while ago. I was like, look at last week's laundry and look at what you wore the most of. And this is such a funny study in what your spirit is trying to communicate to you.
Oh my God.
Because I was putting my laundry away and literally everything that I was putting away was striped, horizontal striped in every color of the rainbow. I guess I have a lot of striped shirts. This is funny to me. So stripes are all about surrender.
Oh.
And so it's about letting go. It's about letting God. It's like, take your hands off, surrender. And so that week I had been wearing surrender in my root chakra, surrender in my throat, surrender in my crown. So I had been wearing all of these things that were pointing me towards surrender. So I was actively working on that energy of letting go.
Wow.
So if you look back at last week's laundry and you see a lot of green in there, then you have been actively working on balancing and supporting your heart.
Oh my gosh.
Then that gives you information. You can go, oh, well, what was going on with my heart last week? Well, maybe I was feeling a little bit sad. What was I sad about? Let me go back and look at that. Or like, I was wearing a lot of red last week. I must be feeling like I need more support. I need to feel more grounded. I'm looking to feel more secure. There's a lot of wisdom in that. And it's fun to kind of go back and look at what your spirit was communicating to you.
Oh my goodness. I love this exercise. So listeners, if you're hearing this, go check your laundry basket and see. Tell me other ways folks could potentially work with you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I've got workshops that are all geared towards therapeutic art and healing through art and color. So that could be things like if you've got an autoimmune disease, working on healing that through art and art therapy, processing grief through art and color. So I've got a series of workshops all geared towards those sort of healing places. I also have a membership called Your Inner Glow, which is basically like me being able to sit with folks twice a month live and offer you live color readings, sharing the energy forecast for the month, and giving you more insight into, how to work intentionally with color. And then, of course, spirit portraits, where I love to offer people live readings and give them insight into what's going on with them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Do you do virtual workshops or are they all in person?
I do a lot of virtual workshops, mostly virtual.
Oh, yeah. Good. Okay. So virtual. I think I was always thinking your workshops were in person. So this is good to know. So we have virtual workshops, we have membership, and we have the fabulous spirit portraits.
Mm-hmm.
As we kind of wrap up here, so when I was thinking about this conversation with you, this phrase, paint your own path, that just like started coming up around like career paths and like the colors and the energy of color. And so, I don't know, I just would love to hear from you, especially because you've worked in the corporate space and you've made the change to become an intuitive artist. And I know so many folks would love to make a change to a more creative career. So in your mind, how can we kind of paint our own paths and like see our careers as like this canvas versus like some ladder to climb?
Yeah, that's a
thoughts there?
beautiful question. I think the first thing, and you and I talked about this before too, like giving yourself a few minutes each day where you can get quiet and really open up your heart and your mind to what it is that you're really looking for. And if you have trouble with that, because I know sometimes it's hard to get into that space to receive information, you can just kind of put your hands on your heart and say, like, what does my heart need right now? Or what does my spirit need? Or what do I need? Do I need a snack? Do I need a nap? Do I need to color? Do I just, what is it? And be honest about that and don't judge it. And allow yourself to sort of feel into that space. And then I think that gives you the opportunity to go, okay, well then if I know what I need, how do I actively move towards that and start to become really intentional about doing the things each day that make you feel filled up or that fill your cup in a way that you can start to paint that path and figure out what's going to make you feel fulfilled each day. And sometimes like you and I talked about, you may only have like 5 minutes each day to devote to the thing that you love, but don't dismiss how important that 5 minutes is to helping you get there, because it does add up. Yeah.
It does add up. That's the 5 minutes to flourish that I always talk about. And it really does. It adds up. And it also does something else around prioritization. Like you're telling yourself and your spirit and everything that you are important and that this is important to make this change and to paint your own path, whatever that looks like. And as you were talking, I was envisioning you had shared with me about spending just a few minutes before you went into your corporate job painting in the mornings. And whether that's 15 minutes, it's just you're prioritizing it. You're doing one tiny thing to paint your own path, literally in your sense.
Yeah.
Which is just so beautiful. I love that connection point. So yeah, thank you. And the other thing that you mentioned too was the no judgment. That's a really big thing, is just to like turn that inner critic off and just like see what comes of this and see what comes out of it. And don't put any judgment. It's so easy to not even start because of that critic or whatever the voices are that are telling you you're not good enough and it'll never happen, all of those things. But the silencing that is a really big deal. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing, Heather. Well, tell us, where can folks find you? Instagram. I know I love seeing you on Instagram. So tell us a little bit about where you are.
Thank you. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Heather Eck Artist. I'm Heather Eck Artist on YouTube and TikTok and all the socials. And you can find me on my website at heathereck.com.
Fabulous. Heather, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing all this fascinating wisdom about color and energy. It has been such a joy.
Thank you so much. I love chatting with you.
Listeners, this was such a fun conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And as always, the notes from today's episode will be on the blog at flourish.careers/blog. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.